Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl Tonya, Lady T, and as y'all can see, it's I'm in the office. I'm in my remote office, and I just want to come on this morning. I'm kind of full. Just as a Christian, as a woman of God, I am truly burdened, and I think we have to have the conversation. We've got to be willing to have this conversation. I know this ain't my eating channel, but y'all, I'm hungry. Y'all, just bear with me, y'all. We have got to have a conversation, not necessarily on whatever platform you're on, but with our friends and with our families, within our churches. We have got to start having a conversation. And I'm not saying that we're not, because some of y'all may, but we have really truly got to start having a conversation about this racism. And of course, as a black woman, I've been discriminated against more often than not, you know, especially here in 2017. But I just, you know, with all this stuff that's going on politically, just in general, something is being unearthed. Something is truly being unearthed. And I don't know if people are just don't want to talk about it. They don't even want to approach it. They don't want to bring up anything that may cause discord. And I'm not even coming from my angle from that. I mean, something is truly being unearthed in our communities and around this world. I don't know what it is that we, you know, we, of course, like I was talking about the other day in one of my videos, social media can be a blessing and it can be a curse. But we're so used to tweeting stuff, and we know that our words are out there. Nobody's directly in your face. They're not physically right there for them to not necessarily retaliate, but to respond. So we just haphazardly just key stuff. We tweet stuff. And our words truly have consequences. Our words have life to them. Our words can be death and life. So I'm just beseeching you, brothers and sisters, start having a conversation, because I really truly think that it's just beautiful outside. I like looking across out of these windows. Is it a skin problem or is it a heart problem? And what I mean by is it a skin problem, the level of hate, okay, we will just talk about YouTube for a minute. Just the level of hate. And that's why I said, if you're going to start a channel here on this platform, you've got to have thick skin. You just have to. But the level of hate that some people leave on your videos, or just in general, I'm telling you, the level of hatred. And I thought, wow, you are so racist or prejudiced because of my skin color. Because let's think about this. You know, God created us all. Whether you want to believe in God, whatever the case may be, I'm speaking from a perspective that I believe God. I believe He created the world. I believe all of it. And I believe in Him. There's too much that He's done for me. And He's spoken to me. And I have a relationship. So I'm not on here trying to prove my personal relationship with God. But what I'm on here for is, even if those of you who have a hard time believing all of that, what is it about people in general who are so hateful that that's all I'm telling you, and we know that's what they do. They get up every day and they're just hateful. They don't see any good in anything. If it doesn't look like them, if it doesn't walk like them, if it doesn't talk like them, they could care less. They don't care that they have offended the very God that created them. I mean, again, for those of us who believe, at one point God repented that He even made man, and thus the flood came, and He instructed Noah to build the ark. And I look out across different platforms and just living my own life daily. But there's a part of me that is just truly burdened by the level of hatred, by the level of people's heart is just so hardened. People's heart are just so full of disdain. And again, remember now, God created us all. So who are you really mad at? God created different lands. And yes, I believe there should be territories and rules and all that help protect each society. I believe in that. But at the same time, who are you to tell someone that you can't be here? I mean, because when I think about it, God created it all. All of it belongs to Him. And like I said, I know that there's certain jurisdictions, there's certain ordinances that have to be in place. See, the law is for the lawlessness. Because if you're not breaking the law, even though it's there and it applies to everybody, but it's in place for those who are the lawless. So when we have to put civil rights and we have to put certain statutes on the law, you know, municipalities, we've got to put things in place. It's to protect those people who have had so much injustices done to them, i.e. black people, i.e. minorities, that if they were not in place, it would be able to continue. Black people, minority, would still be looked at as monkeys, as slaves. Free labor. So it cannot be that whether it's all races, it cannot be that we sit back, oh, you know, well, we put the first black president in office, or, you know, my best friends are white, or my best friends are black. And, you know, we get into that and we think that that's enough, but it's not. Because I think, too, when you see in any race, whatever side of the fence you're on, if you see an injustice happening to your brother and sister, it's more deadly. It's more harmful for you to sit back and say nothing. And I'm going to go on and speak on it. With this mess going on with the NFL and the president tweeting about this and that. Now, here it is. Let's just think about this. And this is not a bashing of our president. But here it is. We've got Kim Jong-un over there threatening to deploy a missile to hit, you know, the U.S. mainland. Whether it's possible or not, He's come very close. Where our men, women, and children, our family, our loved ones. I've got a few of my nephews that are in the military. And again, going back to this NFL, if you believe in something, that flag, whether you upset that they're kneeling, they're not standing attention, what about all the people that are at home and they're watching whatever sports game? There might be some people that might stand. They might be sitting on the couch and they may stand and place their hand over their heart and recite the national anthem or whatever. But I guarantee you 99% of the people who are watching these football games, they're not standing to attention. They might be, while the national anthem is being played, they might be critiquing the person singing it to make sure they hit every note. I'm guilty of it. There might be some people who are getting the food ready for the game. They're not paying. They ready for it to be over with so they can so it's kickoff or throw the first pitch or the first jump. Who's gonna get the ball on the basketball team or whatever sports you watch. But even outside of that, that same flag that everybody on some parts are offended that they're not respecting the flag and standing, then you got some people on the other side are saying, well, you know what? That's their constitutional First Amendment right. And that's what people need to understand. That's the symbolism of that flag really was written when there was a war being fought and the flag was still standing. It was a representation of how strong the United States was doing those wars. And you just have to Google it and read up more about it, or if every one of y'all have taken history, you would know that through taking civics and history. But the gist of the matter is that same flag that everybody said, oh, you're it's the same flag that allows you to be able to do that. It's the same flag that allows you to be able to protest an injustice. If you believe in something and that flag is supposed to stand for something, but it failed you or your family or your loved ones through an injustice by the people that are in power, then that is your protest. That is your protest. So that same flag that you're saying that needs to be respected is the same flag that allows you to protest something that it doesn't do for whatever group of people. And I think people get so caught up in, oh, it just is un-American, it's unpatriotic, and it's this and it's that and the other. No. Keep in mind that same symbolic flag that is supposed to protect me as a black woman or a black man or any minority or any white Caucasian person. That same flag that is supposed to protect, it's not an exclusion. The symbolic of this, it symbolizes the fact that I can be able to stand and take a protest and stand for something, that an injustice has been done. And I'm kneeling for that purpose. Because even in that, even though you may not like my protest, that flag, the symbolic of it, protects my right to do so. So you can't have it both ways. We can't have it both ways that, no, they shouldn't do that. It doesn't look. Well, look at all the stuff that we do to one another under, these United States, but yet we still do it. And again, going back to what I'm saying about racism. The same flag that a lot of people will say, oh, I can't believe they're kneeling, is the same flag that's still standing, and you have a heart full of evil and you hate me and you're racist against me because of my skin color or because I'm not in a particular certain class, and vice versa. It's on both sides of the aisle. But we can look at these athletes, and let's go on and talk about it. Let's go on and get it out there. 80% of the NFL players are black or some sort of minority. So I think it's very ugly that the president of the United States would tell owners that if you've got a team player, I mean, I guess the name owner, they're the owner of the team, but I guess the president thinks that, okay, because you're the owner, then you own them as people and you need to be able to tell them what to do. Oh, no, no, no. You're sadly mistaken, Mr. Trump. You're sadly mistaken. Those players have a right to protest, to do anything, and whether it be on the job, whether it be off the job, that constitutional right protects me everywhere I go. So I have a problem. I really do. I have a problem that we've got a president who's he incites things. And I'm just calling a spade a spade. He incites things. Now, there are certain things I can overlook because foolishness is just foolishness. But when you get on a platform at a rally and you tell the owners that when one of their players kneels, then as the owner, you need to fire the SOB. He actually said the words. Fire him, get rid of him. If they, again, based on the symbolic of the flag, based on what it's supposed to do, again, it's supposed to protect me from certain injustices. And when it doesn't, not the flag itself, but again, the people in power over certain institutions, whether it be via the judge in the courtroom system, whether it be in schools, whether it be in a corporation, that flag is supposed to protect me from certain injustices. And when it doesn't do, not necessarily the flag itself, but the symbolism of a flag, and I'm protesting the entities, the institutions, of those who are in power that will cause and do nothing about injustices that flag or the Constitution is supposed to protect me from. So I'm taking a stand on it. Had it not been for people taking stands and protesting stuff, honestly, civil rights also protects a lot of the things for women. And a lot of white women benefited from civil rights. You got to go check your history. It's just facts. So all I'm saying is, it bothers me. And all I can do is continue to pray. Continue to pray for those who are in leadership. And I continue to pray for Mr. Trump. I will continue to pray for him. Because he is the president of the United States. But at the same time, it bothers me. I mean, I know people, by now, some people may be even desensitized to his tweets. But think about even again, he wants us and other people want us to respect the flag. But yet he doesn't even respect the office of the presidency. He doesn't even respect it. Because he gets out there and he says, you need to fire those SOBs. Now what? I pause for effect. Let's just take that in. Really? So anyway, like I said, I don't want to belabor the point. And my question is it really a skin problem or a heart problem? My skin color cannot make you that infuriated. My skin color can't make you be so enraged that I can't drive down in a certain neighborhood. It's your heart. And I also want to say this. For those of you who are in power or who have an opportunity to call out stuff and you don't, you're just as bad. It's almost even worse. And I'm going to put it out there. All these players that have decided today on Sunday to take a knee because of the continued injustices, and Kaepernick did it because of the injustices that was happening with all these police shootings with black people. That's pretty much what it was. That's the purpose of him taking a knee. Wasn't because of the flag per se. It was because of the fact that, nothing was being done from his perspective and a lot of people's perspective of the constant killing and shootings of young black men. That was the whole protest. But now it has become, from right out of the White House, now it has become this political thing that these players have to do, or otherwise they should be fired. Those SOBs should be fired. It's totally outrageous. And I think, too, that we have to sit back, and again, if we are in a position, my white brothers and sisters out there, or any person that's in power, even black people, if you're in a position and you don't call out that kind of stuff when it's right there before you, you make it worse. I think all those white players, and I applaud these owners that are coming out and say, wait a minute now, this is our product, if you will. These people aren't just football players. They do tremendous stuff in their community. There are a lot of football players. Again, they don't televise that. The national media doesn't cover that. But you got a lot of black athletes that do ride-alongs so they can understand what police officers have to face when they're out there on the beat. So they can get a cop's perspective. There's a lot of football players that do that. They do a lot of charity work, but we don't see that. We just see when they out in the club popping bottles and popping booty and all that. But they do a lot in their community to build it up, to provide opportunities. They start football camps for these young inner city kids that may not have that opportunity to be exposed, and so people can see their talent and their skill set. They open up and support Boys and Girls Club after school programs to enhance them through book knowledge, getting information and knowledge to these children on a day-to-day basis so that they can be educated, so they can be scholars, so they can compete with India and all these other places that have people that are educated and scholars. So, I mean, you know, like I said, I had to speak on it. I know a lot of people may not think this is popular. I know a lot of people may not want to speak on it. But I'm going to speak on it. We just, as in the church, we just really need to talk about and have a communication. It can't be just as simple as us tweeting and us, you know, making a one or two nasty comment. Let's sit down at the table with one another, with our family members, with our loved ones, with our relatives, with people that are in our inner circle. And if they're telling you something, they're telling a horrible racist joke, you have to be the one in that group that says, you know what, I can appreciate you wanting to laugh at y'all, but that's just inappropriate. It just is. And we ain't got to have a fight about it. We ain't got to have a knockdown, drag out fight about it. We ain't got to have a moral march or nothing like that. That's just really inappropriate. You really shouldn't be discussing that kind of stuff. I don't care to hear it. How about that? So, I mean, if we don't ever say anything, it's almost like that syndrome about, you know, if you seeing a woman getting her lights beat, you know, a man beating her brains out, and you sit there and you just recording it and you're not calling 911 on behalf of that woman. I watched a video not too long ago, and I just watched it just to see. There was a man being just stabbed to death on the street. And you know what everybody was doing? Recording it. As many people that was around and surrounding this happenings. Now, yeah, you had people yelling, oh, stop, stop, stop. But it seemed like to me, as many men that was walking and staring and looking, they should have been able to band together and go run and bum rush and something. No, because then I might have got stabbed. But see, just standing there doing nothing, that man died right there on the street. He died from multiple stabs. And they just stood there and watched. Nobody wanted to jump in and participate. And I know sometimes we don't want to jump in and participate because we don't want to get stabbed. We don't want to get bloodied. We don't want to get our hands dirty. But yet we'll stand and we'll push that record button and we'll record somebody getting stabbed to death on the street in broad daylight. And I know that's severe and to the extreme, but it was true. It was captured, and it's forever capitalized on video. But we do that in life. We let people sit and say some crazy stuff, and we don't say anything. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't pay it no mind. But then they go on and perpetuate that same. And that's what I'm trying to say, even on this platform. A lot of time, yeah, I have to ignore it because I can't allow negative stuff to consume my life. But sometimes I do have to do a channel cleansing, and I have to clap back at some people because they need to understand you can't just continue to go on your whole life feeling and thinking that way, because you may run up on the wrong one and they're not going to play that. So anyway, I know this is a long video, but I just felt the need. We have to talk about it. And see, in my house, in my family, these are some of the things that we discuss. We may not film it because there's some things that we get seriously deep about. But I think too, if you are a person in leadership or not in leadership, or if you're a person who's influential, but you sit back and you just hit the record button and you just watching, and you're not saying anything, you're not jumping in, you don't want your hands to get dirty, you don't want this and that and the other. But sometimes we have got to speak up. We've got to just have the communication, because it can't just be about my skin color. It's got to be about our hearts. So anyway, that's all I wanted to come on and say this morning. But let me get on and get going. I got about 3 hours worth of work to do today. And anyway, thank y'all for listening. And anyway, I guess I want y'all to walk away with the message. Have a conversation, communicate, and don't just stand by. Don't just be a bystander. Don't just be a spectator, but be a participator. This world's going to be left to our children and our grandchildren. We'll be going on to glory. But what will we leave here for our children? Anyway, y'all have a great Sunday. Y'all stay tuned later on over there on LadyTSensations. Probably about 5 or 6, I'll be uploading the Sunday dinner. So anyway, God bless you, and may the peace of the Lord be with you. Bye, y'all.